Very important surrealist painter. Thank you for sharing that, Victor.
What?
Oh, I said thank you, Victor.
Oh.
Yes, welcome everybody. If you just joined, there's a quick check-in question. What is your favorite type of art and why? And please do type your response into the chat. I see Elva is here and Shannon and Melissa. Welcome. Again, if you just joined, there is a check-in question. What is your favorite type of art and why? And if you could add your response into the chat. Oh, there's more. Sorry, I was only looking at the first page of my participants. So I see, yes, Shannon and Jonathan and Lorena and Sherilyn. Welcome. What is your favorite type of art and why? We're adding our response to the chat as we get ready to get started. Sherilyn says, yes, Bad Bunny's new album on repeat. Yes, Sherilyn. I've heard it described as a love letter to Puerto Rico. So an important contribution to the music world, yes.
I went to look up and see if there's a tour, and he's doing before. I don't know if he'll do a world tour or not, but right now, in the summer, he's going to do a residency in Puerto Rico since it
Oh,
is love
wow.
letter. Since it is a love letter to Puerto Rico, he's doing 2 months residency.
That's amazing. Wow. Yeah, I just had a friend who visited. Her family's from Puerto Rico. She was born in Chicago, but she went to visit. And she says that right now, that's all you hear in the restaurants, like the beach clubs. That's like all you hear. Yes, welcome everybody who's joined us so far. I see Carla's joined us as well. And again, if you haven't had a minute yet to answer the question, we're just checking in. What is your favorite type of art and why? So far, we've had dance, music, painting, visual art. It's great to hear these different mediums of art shared amongst our group. I love art, every kind of art, but my favorite is probably definitely music. I was a musician in high school, and I'm a musician now. I'm a singer. I sing in a choir, and so that's my favorite type of music. My favorite type of art. And in terms of why, I would share that it kind of runs in the family. My dad's also a singer. My uncles are all singers. When we have family gatherings, we tend to all just celebrate and sing together. So that's my favorite type of art. It has a special place in my heart for that. Thank you for everyone else sharing. I see Alba has shared in the chat as well. Yeah, street art, which is important because it's very accessible, right? It's available for folks to see. Great question, Victor. What's my favorite song to sing with my family? Well, tend to I tend to sing a lot of mariachi music. I'm a little bit more shy to sing, so my uncles are the ones who typically take the lead. But my dad, I love when my dad sings. There's a song called Paloma Negra, or I guess the translation is Black Dove. It's a really beautiful song. I like when he sings that one. Um, yeah, and lots of mariachi classics. It's a big part of my family. So I think this is why art is a big part of my life because it's connected to my family. So yeah, great song. Thank you for sharing that, Carla. Oh yeah, and see some of us maybe like actually we even studied art in college, right? So that seems to be Shannon, your situation. Yeah, it's important. Art is not seen often. Art does not get the respect it deserves, right? Because um, there's a sometimes a necessary emphasis to focus on especially with students on academic achievement, right? So especially English language arts, science, math. But art is also very important. And I'm hoping to talk to you a little bit about that today. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Love the energy in the chat. Please keep it up. That way we're in dialogue with each other. And again, if you just joined, welcome. My name is Victor. I'll be introducing myself a little bit more in a second, but I just wanted to say, glad that you chose this session today, and I hope that it is useful to you. And we have Julie, who's going to be helping a little bit with some of our Zoom logistics. So everybody say in advance, thank you to Julie for helping us out. Really appreciate you. If you are able, yeah, if you are able to turn on your camera, that would be great. That way, we, when I check the, participants, I can kind of just see who you are, and I know that you may not be able to, but if you can, please do. Especially there's going to be a small group activity where you'll be in a breakout room, and so that would be a great time to also turn on your camera so that you're connecting with each other. And yeah, thank you for, I already see some cameras turning on, so I appreciate that. So this is where we're a little bit more connected if possible, okay?
Victor?
All right, yes.
I want to just apologize. I was supposed to be in my office virtually Zooming today, or actually I was going to stay home and virtually Zoom. I live in the Sierras. We have a storm last night and a storm tomorrow. So now I have to drive over there.
Okay.
So I'm like at home packing. That's why I'm not on video, but just so you can see my face. Hi.
Okay, hi.
And then I'm going to be in the car. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. And be safe, please.
Thank you. Of course. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Victor and Melissa and Alva and anyone else who's able to turn on their camera. Appreciate you. Also, there will be times where I call your name for participation. Just as a default, know that you will not hurt my feelings if you correct me on your pronunciation of your name. I actually prefer that because you deserve to be called by your preferred name. So sometimes I'll just hope that it's Victor, but if it's Victor and you want me to say Victor, I can say that. So just correct me when I call your name, okay? And there will be several times when I will be, calling us to share. Okay, so first I just want to start with this beautiful quote from the Commonwealth speech that Cesar Chavez gave. We are the Cesar Chavez Foundation, and I like to stay grounded in this important historical figure whose legacy lives on today, which is why I'm here, and I'm here with you today. So I would like for one of you to come off mute and just read this quote in a bold, beautiful voice to honor Cesar's words. So come off mute and share the quote with us.
It says, you cannot uneducate the person who has learned to read. You cannot humiliate the person who feels pride. You cannot oppress the people who are not afraid anymore.
Thank you, Victor. And I wanted to start here because it reminds me, again, we're staying grounded in the words and the life and legacy of Cesar Chavez, we are the Cesar Chavez Foundation. And there's just something so powerful to me about this quote. You can't uneducate the person who has learned to read. Think about that, right? The idea that once you have experienced education, and that could be very broad, it doesn't have to be just like in a school building or in a college institution, right? But when you have been educated, that no one can take that away from you, right? It's a really powerful statement. And many people do not know that because Cesar Chavez was a farm worker, he actually moved schools a lot. And you might know some students who had this experience, right? Go from school to school. So he moved a lot. And he had a limited formal education, but he was one of the most well-read leaders of his time. And actually at the National Chavez Center, we have a replica of his office, and it's wall to wall in books. And you can see all the books that he read. And again, just a reminder of this idea that, we're all in the business of educating students, what we call hearts and minds, right? Not just academics, but their social emotional learning, so that's what we're in the business of. And so just a powerful reminder that we play a role in contributing to that, and no one can take that away from the youth, right? Because we are, once we have it, it is ours, right? All right, so a little bit about me. Again, my name is Victor. I've been an educator for 14 years. I started off as a classroom teacher, middle school. I taught high school as well, and I was an administrator. Actually, let me go even further back. I started off in an after-school program called Oasis. I was a student at UC Berkeley, and there was an after-school program that was in partnership with IBASI, if you know IBASI from the Bay Area. And so I was a tutor, and that's how I got into the world of education. I fell in love with it. Then I became a teacher, administrator, and now I work at the Chavez Foundation supporting educators, administrators, after school leaders, site directors, youth leaders, you name it, all sorts of adults that work with young people. I support them. And I want to share a little bit about myself. That first picture is when I graduated from undergrad, and I participated in a ceremony with the Latino student body. And I actually got to bring my mom and my dad on stage with me as we crossed the stage together as a family to get my diploma. And so it was one of my favorite photos and very, very special to me. The middle picture is the reading room at in Moore Hall at UCLA. You'll see that there's a thread here on education and academics. So I actually just completed my dissertation in December at UCLA in educational leadership. And so that room represents a lot of hours of study and dedication to my degree. And then that last picture is a picture of me and two of my former students, Samara and Brianna. They are currently sophomores at UCLA. And we took this picture together. One day we got coffee during finals week. So this was right after I had transitioned out of my role to be in grad school. But this kind of speaks to the vision of my vision for education, which is about enduring, lasting relationships with students and youth. Because to be honest, I had hundreds of students throughout my tenure as an educator, but you can't get to all of them, right? There's too many of them. And so you do your best with all of them. And there's also, a select few where you put in a little bit of extra love, a little bit of extra care and attention. And then the result is long enduring relationships. So I want to tell you a little bit about me. And we are a small group. So what I actually would like to do is actually now turn it over to you. And I would like for you to share your preferred name. That way I can lock that in my head. And then where you work and what your role is. Okay, so your preferred name, where you work and what your role is. And then we just kind of will check in with each other about that. And I know that, Sherilyn, you might be driving, so be safe. Do not engage while you're driving. But everybody else, and let's, so why don't we go in this order? Let's start with, I'm just looking at my screen. So let's start with Victor, then Melissa, then Alva, or Elva. You can tell me how you want your name pronounced. So Victor, Melissa, and Elva. And then Shannon, Carla, Jonathan, and then Lorena and Jenna. And if we mess up the order, it's okay. We're humans. We'll just try our best if we can. But we'll start with you, Victor.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Victor. I am currently working for Union School District out here in San Jose, California, out in the Bay Area. I am a site supervisor for a TK through 5th after school program. I'm also the site supervisor for the summer camp that we have every year as well.
Thank you, Victor. And I typed it in the chat just in case folks missed any of that. You can see about where Victor works and his role.
I guess it's my turn.
Yes.
Hi, Victor. Good morning, everybody. My name is Melissa Minas, and I work for the San Diego County Office of Education. I'm part of the System of Support for Expanded Learning Programs, and we work with every single ACES, ELOP, all the different expanded learning grant-funded programs throughout San Diego County.
Thank you, Melissa. And Melissa, by any chance, do you know Toby Pace?
Yes, Toby. Well, okay. I know who she is. She runs oversees ELOP programs for San Diego Unified School District, which is a huge school district. Yes.
Yeah, if we have time at the end, let's connect. I work very closely with Toby on our summer. We have a summer program. We connect with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Melissa. So Elva, you're next.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Elva, or you can call me Elva. Either way is fine. Okay. I work for Fresno County. I'm sorry about that. I work for Fresno Unified School District. I used to work for Fresno County for 16 years, so I'm sorry about that. But I'm currently working for Fresno Unified in a coordinator role. I manage morning and after school programs here at Gibson Elementary in Fresno. And I've been here for 2 years.
Thank you. Shannon, I think you wrote it? No, yes. Thank you, Shannon. I'll read what you wrote. Shannon, and Shannon is an ELOP coordinator at Planada Elementary School District. Thank you, Shannon. Carla.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Carla, and I'm a program coordinator for the ACES After School program, and I serve the Robo School District in Sacramento.
Thank you. Jonathan and then Lorena.
Victor, I can go ahead and go.
I think Jonathan might having some tech issues, so let's go ahead with Lorena.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. I'm Lorena Morales Ellis. I work for Region 4. We are a system of support as well for expanded learning programs here in the Bay Area. So we provide support to Alameda County, San Francisco, San Mateo, Solano, in Napa. And we work with all expanded learning programs. Welcome.
Thank you. Lorena, by any chance, did you know of Oasis before it got absorbed by eBayC?
No, I just came on board, Victor, 2 years ago. So I'm meeting as we go. So I haven't come across them yet.
Okay, no worries. Okay, Jenna is from Napa County Office of Education and works as an assistant site supervisor in expanded learning K-5. Thank you, Jenna. And by the way, thank you for those of you who are notifying me if you have any particular situation with your tech. I promise you that as much as I try to remember it, I'm probably gonna forget. So if I call you and you can't, just let me know, and then it'll sink in, and maybe Julie, you can also help me remember. And then Alicia, if you could share again your preferred name, where you work, and your role.
Turning on the. Hi, my name is Alicia. I'm she, her. I am a site coordinator for a little school in Region 1. We are year 4 in operation. Our school is brand new, centered ag-based learning, and I'm here with my after-school team.
Thank you, Alicia. And John, if you haven't typed into the chat, John is a director for expanded learning in Orange Cove, California. KCUSD. Awesome, thank you. Did I miss anybody? Jenna, I think I got everybody.
I'm able to go because I'm able to go.
Okay, great. Oh, yes, because you haven't left quite yet. Yeah, go ahead.
No problem. My name is Sherry Lynn Polanco. I'm a learning director. I have like a split job. I'm learning director for an elementary school. And then I'm ELOP coordinator also for the district. We are a small district. It's Mammoth Unified. We're in Mammoth Lake. So it's just one elementary, one middle, one high. I do Title III as well for the district. And did you say how long I've been there? I can't remember the third.
Yeah, you can share that, sure.
I don't know. So this is my 3rd year here. And before that, I lived and worked for 20 years in Borrego Springs down in San Diego County. So shout out San Diego County of Ed. Hi.
Thank you, Sherry Lynn. Appreciate it. And I try to capture everybody just in case at the end of the session you want to remember, oh, I want to connect with Melissa or Elva or Carla. Right? You can go back and kind of remember a little bit about them. So I know it took a little bit of time, but I think it's worth it. And I think Francisco also just joined. Francisco, we're throwing you right in there. If you could tell us your preferred name and then where you work and what your role is.
My name is Francisco Torres. I work in Central California, KCUSD at a school called Great Western. I'm a site director for the after-school program.
Thank you. And we can't forget Julie. Julie, I know that you are helping us out, but we should know who you are too. So can you tell us a little bit about you?
Thanks, Victor. Julie Grohl. I'm part of the ASAP Connect team. So we partner with California After School Network on this event. And I head up our operations. I'm based in San Jose. Our team is all over the state.
Thank you, Julie. All right, so we may get some new folks. We'll get them looped in, but let's go ahead and begin. So as you may be familiar, we have community agreements typically when we have spaces like this. And we're a small space, so I'll just kind of cover these. And I am going to ask you to use the chat in a little bit to answer which of these resonates with you the most. And so for the community agreements, we call them our Si Se Puede agreements. They come from the famous slogan coined by Dolores Huerta, Si Se Puede, and they are, which translates to yes, we can. And these are what I want you to think about. Most of you are in some capacity where you're not directly working with the youth, right? You may be as a site director or as a coordinator. And so I want us to, as our community agreement, to stay centered on students, which is ultimately who we serve, and also youth leaders, because this session has a focus on this idea of supporting youth leaders, right? Which is our term for facilitators or any of the adults that lead programming with students directly. So we also want you to stay curious and hopeful, which means, sometimes when we're exposed to a new idea, we may want to initially want to kind of let's critique it all the way to the bone, right? Which we should do that, right? But also let's stay curious and hopeful, ask questions, right, as we explore together, and then own your learning, whatever you think you might need to to make this a meaningful session for you. That may be taking notes, using the chat, asking questions, whatever might help you. Okay, so the first thing I want us to do is just to type in the chat A, B, or C. What community agreement resonates with you the most and why? So for now in the chat, just type in the letter, and then I'm going to call on a few of you to share why you chose that answer. Okay, so which one resonates with you the most? Is it staying centered on students and youth leaders? Is it being curious and hopeful, or is it owning your learning? And we'll see if there are any trends in the chat. All right, a lot of A's. A lot of A's, staying centered on students and youth leaders. Some more answers are coming into the chat. Great. See, about 10 more seconds. So when I call you, I just wanted to share a little bit about your why. Why did you choose that? So let's start with, can we start with Lorena? Can you share why did you choose staying centered on students and youth leaders?
Absolutely, Victor. As a former child of migrant parents, I also worked in Title I and Title III schools, and I saw the need of our most vulnerable students. And so for me, it's always staying centered on the students and youth leaders and how do we meet their needs and what can we do to continue making it an equitable playing field, whether I'm a principal, whether I'm a teacher, or whether I'm at county or state level.
Thank you, Lorena. And then Carla, you answered C, own your learning. Tell us a little bit about your choice.
Well, I just find that as a first generation graduate, I just feel that, my experience as a scholar, as a, learning, it's like once you have it, what you've learned, nobody can take it away from you. So it's just an empowerment, empowers you. And that's one of the things that, I really want to pass down to the youth is once you have it in you, there's nobody that can take that from you.
Yeah, today, there's different ways you can orient yourself today, right? So you could be here transactionally, and that's okay. But what Carla is saying, there's this piece about owning your learning. I'm here, let me learn, and I'm gonna own it, right? I'm here to learn, and this is what I'm gonna take away. Thank you, Carla, I really appreciate that. Awesome, great responses. If you wanna share anything in addition, please do use the chat. For now, we will move on to the next part, which is the Unity clap. The Unity clap is, I'm curious, does anybody know what the Unity clap is? Going once, twice. Okay, the Unity clap was a way that oh, Lorena, you know what it is? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. It's something that Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez started when they worked very closely with the farm workers to unite them and to make change. So the Unity clap is, it's what it is right here. You start with the little clap and it gets stronger and stronger by the end. So you're building that unity and coherence amongst the group.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lorena. That's great. Yes, Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta came up with this, and the only thing that I would add to it is that sometimes in the history, something that gets lost, this was my experience as a student when I learned about Cesar Chavez, is that we forget that Dolores Huerta was like a big part of it too, right? Like it's not just Cesar, right? He worked in coalition with others. And then also with Larry Itliong, Filipino farm worker, a very important historical figure. And so what you'll see here is that in the Unity clap, the first line, it's a call and response. So it's si se puede, yes we can, si se puede, yes we can. The third line, isan bagsak, the rough translation to that, it's from the Tagalog language. And the rough translation is about rising and falling together. So that's the unity, right? We have hard times and we have good times, we rise and we fall together. And then the actual clap, which Lorena was talking about, you start slow and it gets faster, it builds momentum faster and faster and faster. So we're gonna practice this today. This is actually part of whenever we have a training or even a student-facing program, we have this so that students get to participate in that legacy. And you will be doing that as well. And so what I will need you to do is the following. For today, I'll be the call. You're gonna be the response, and I'll guide us through the clapping. At the end of the clap, we're also gonna shout out si se puede, which translates to yes, we can. So the first thing I need is all of your mics to turn to green, if possible. So I'm gonna wait to see most of your mics be green. Another 10 seconds. And then we're just gonna do a call and response. Let's do it. Si se puede.
Yes, we can.
Si se puede.
Si se puede.
Isan bagsak.
Isan bagsak.
Now we do the slow clap. Gets faster and faster. And now, si se puede.
Si se
Se
puede.
puede.
Awesome. Thank you. Beautiful voices. Thank you for participating. Go ahead and turn your mics back to red so we can continue with our time together. Beautiful way to honor Cesar and the farm worker movement, Dolores Huerta and Larry Itliong. I love this because it just is a good reminder. I see this as a way that we are stopping the erasure of history, right? Because we shouldn't forget who Larry Itliong is. We shouldn't forget who Dolores Huerta is, right? It should be all combined, right? So love this part of our time together. Okay, so we've been doing a lot of build up. So now let's go ahead and talk about our time together. So we will start today with an essential question. And I will talk a little bit about the purpose and the goals of our session. And then we're gonna talk a little bit about, based on our essential question, which is about supporting youth leaders through an arts curriculum, I'll share a little bit about the process that we engaged in to learn, like how do we support youth leaders through an arts curriculum, right? And so I'll share the results from our listening tour, our theory of action, and then you're gonna have some time to explore some resources that we created from an arts curriculum that are designed to support youth leaders. And then you'll do that in small groups. There will be a time for reflecting in the whole group. Then we'll close out with a big idea. There's a survey and a Q&A, and then don't leave too early because there's a raffle at the end, or you'll need the link to participate in the raffle. And so, yes, that's our time today. If you have any questions, you can feel free to let me know in the chat and draw my attention to it. If you type a question and I haven't answered it, feel free to draw my attention to it, okay? Okay, so in terms of the essential question, this is why we're here, or what we're hoping to offer from the foundation point of view. So we have this essential question of how can an arts curriculum be designed to support frontline staff in leading high quality out of school time learning experiences? And let me break this down a little bit. So first, this idea of frontline staff. So these are the folks who are working directly with youth or are the site directors, right? Many of you are site directors who are supporting the youth leaders that then support the students, right? And we have this idea, or we know that there is a need for high quality programming, right? We want programs in the out of school time space to be high quality. And so we are wondering, so how could we design a program so that it helps youth leaders, right? So that they have support as they're implementing a high quality program. So this is the question we are seeking to answer, and I want to offer you some findings, and then that's when we'll go into the exploration of resources. So in terms of the purpose and goals of our time, again, I'll share our process, our learnings, our theory of action. And this is what I would like for you to take away from our time today, because you chose this session, so I do hope you get something out of it. And what I hope you get is one of these two things. So the first is you're going to walk away with at least one new idea about how to support frontline staff with running high quality out of school time programs. And so that doesn't mean you would necessarily use, I am going to share one of our programs as an example, but I want the bigger takeaway is what can you learn and take away about how to support frontline staff with your existing programs, right? Everything you're already running, clubs that are happening in the out of school time space. I want you to get some ideas on how to, from our learnings on how you can support youth leaders. And the last thing is, the other offering is I would like for you to have some experiences that make you better prepared to evaluate curriculums and programs that you're thinking about bringing on. So let's say you're thinking about bringing a new math STEM program to your campus, right? I would want you this session to give you some guidance on what to look for that from our learning suggests this will help youth leaders. And if you're looking at a program and you're like, okay, this program has something that I think is going to help youth leaders, that's a good one. We could, petition for some funds to go into that. Or it might also make you say, I thought this was a good program, but now I'm seeing it's really missing a lot of supports. So this might not be the right time for it, right? So either of these two is what I'm hoping you will get out of our time today. Okay. So to answer that question, we did a little bit of research on out of school time programs, and this might be something that's familiar to you. It's from the Wallace Foundation. They did a big study on out of school time, the impact of out of school time. And so here are some key conclusions from that study, but one that I want to highlight is this idea of program quality and intentionality influence outcomes. And I'm sure many of you are thinking, yeah, duh, Victor, of course. Like I knew that already, right? I didn't have to attend this session to know that. But it's important that we realize this is actually now research backed, right? So it's not just, based on our lived experience, but also like there's research that supports this. And what this means is that we know what it's like when students experience a high quality program and when they don't, right? Because when they do experience a high quality program, they get something out of it. There's tangible results, right? Whether it be enrichment or academic or both, academic enrichment, they get something out of that high quality program that has been intentionally designed for that outcome, right? And we also know programs where they kind of seem like they were just kind of thrown together. We're doing our best. Everyone's capacity is limited, right? And we did our best, but maybe it wasn't the most intentional program or the intentional curriculum. And what ends up happening is that there's limited outcomes, right, from that, because that's how it was designed. It wasn't as intentional. And then the last one here is something you very well know, because funding is connected to this, right? And there's this idea that youth need to attend regularly, right, to benefit from programs. And so I'll tell you how or for us, what this signaled is when we create programs, we have to create programs that make kids want to come, right? Of course, there's factors outside of that, like there's, there could be some like family situations, which is why they're, not attending. But this idea that when you design a program that is engaging and taps into students, where they feel seen and represented by the programs, that it can influence their attendance. So that's one of the things we thought about. And then another finding here is that I want to highlight is that when we think about like those who make the decisions and like the funding, that one of the things that we need to focus on is, again, this idea of high quality programs, and that we need to kind of measure like how successful are our programs. So these are themes that I think have been coming up in my experience at CAN actually for a few years now, this idea of high quality, how do we measure impact, right? And so these are two additional things that came up in our literature review. And then we did a listening tour. If you've ever done a listening tour, never done it, I recommend that you do one when you're trying to solve a big problem, because essentially a listening tour is you invite people to, a 30 to 45 minute meeting. If they're a really busy person, maybe it's just 20 minutes, but you ask them a question and you get their insights. You kind of download all of their knowledge and wisdom. And so we did this because, again, we're trying to figure out, how do we help youth leaders? How do we create something that is high quality and helps them actually execute the program, right? And so actually I attended the CAN conference 2 years ago in Long Beach. Was anybody there in Long Beach? Okay, yeah. So I was in the Long Beach one, and actually in one of my sessions, I met two folks who ended up being part of my listening tour, right? So this is the power of networking and these conferences, right? So still remember May Zatina was an assistant principal at Almond Tree Elementary School District, and Michael, who is a site director at that time at Delano Power Program, now has shifted to a different program. But I met them and they were part of my listening tour. And basically what I asked them was these two questions, because I led this listening tour. Based on your experience, what are the needs in the expanded learning after school, out of school time space? And I asked, I told them our hope is to design an arts curriculum, because art was prominent in the United Farm Worker movement. That's what inspired a lot of people to join the movement. And so we wanted to create an arts curriculum, but we wanted to see, does that idea resonate? That this idea of a curriculum that teaches students that art is an instrument of social change. Would kids like that? We just didn't know, right? We wanted to ask folks. So the participants in this listening tour were site directors, ELOP directors, administrators, youth leaders, after school community-based organizations. So we asked these questions and we sought to learn from them. And what we learned was, again, that there is a need for high quality curriculum and programs, right? And that there's a need for robust support of youth leaders, right? And why is that? Because youth leaders, there's a range of experiences, right? So there's some who are, in college or just graduated college, or there are folks who have been doing out of school time work for 20 years, right? So there's a range of experiences, but especially those with less experience, needing a little bit more support. And then we also concluded that even though ELOP funds are available, and in addition to funds like ACES and 21st Century, right, that ELOP funds are not forever, right? So there's like this kind of window of time to be using funds for maybe new programs or exploring new curriculum. And then this last one, which I think will resonate with a lot of you, is that ultimately the weight of creating and implementing high quality program tends to fall on individual sites, site directors, and youth leaders, right? So think about how many times a youth leader has had to do their own lesson or their own activity, or as a site director, you've had to create like a calendar of activities, right? So that weight tends to fall on you, despite having a million other things you have to do, right? And so this is kind of where like we come in. Like we wanted to, in creating a program, we wanted to create a program where that weight is kind of lifted a little bit off of site directors and youth leaders, that you could feel confident this is a high quality program and it's going to help youth leaders, right? And again, I wanted to, even though I will talk to you a little bit about this, what we ended up designing, the bigger takeaway and the whole reason for this session is I want you to be able to think, what can I take away from this process that will help me either look at my programs, the programs that I support, and see, where can we beef up the support, or I'm looking to buy a new program or purchase a new curriculum. What should I look for when I'm looking at that, right? But let's do a quick check. Just know there was a lot downloaded there, and there's no the right or wrong answer necessarily here. But I want you to think of what I've just shared. Which of these is not a finding from the listening tour? So which of these is not a finding, right? There is a need for high quality curriculum. Youth leaders do not need robust training, or the weight of creating high quality learning experiences falls on site directors and youth leaders. When you're ready, type your response in the chat. Again, which of these is not a finding from our listening tour? All right, yes, I'm seeing lots of B's. I said there was no right or wrong answer because you can argue for multiple, this could be subjective, right? But in general, from our findings, it's true that youth leaders do need robust support, and you probably could confirm this, right? And so, yeah, B was the correct answer here. Okay, so now let me tell you about our theory of action. So our theory of action, when we did, remember the question we started off with is, how can we design an arts curriculum? And we wanted to do arts because of the legacy of art in the farm worker movement. How can we design an arts curriculum that helps youth leaders run that program, helps them with it, and then we reach the outcomes we want, right? And so this is the theory of action. So we believe that it starts with the design. So when we design a high quality arts curriculum, that has in mind youth leaders, like what are the things that they struggle with typically, right? What are the things that they may not have as much experiences with? When we design with them in mind, and then the next step is the second circle. And then we have thoughtful youth leader training. So when we train youth leaders on a program or a curricular with what we call plug and play resources. And let's pause here. And I would love for someone to come off mute and just share, what do you think plug and play means when we talk about resources? Plug and play resources. What does that mean to you? Come off mute and share. Go ahead.
Is it okay if I share?
Yeah, go ahead, Francisco.
So plug and play, is that basically sort of like it's a curriculum or an activity, someone with no prior knowledge to it can just step in and deliver to students?
Yes. Let's add to that. Anybody else want to add something to that? Plug and play. What does that mean?
Perhaps all the materials needed are prepared. There's not much prep work other than reviewing it.
Yeah, beautiful. Let's do one more. What else could plug and play mean? And for those who can't use the mic, feel free to use the chat. Okay, we'll see if somebody uses. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Material that your line staff can use immediately. You don't have to have so much like that goes into it for prep time or anything like that, like easy understanding.
Yes. So let's add all those together, right? Francisco, Melissa, and Alba's response, right? That we're talking about plug and play means easy to understand. Things are built into it already so that you don't have to worry about finding, like where do I find this resource? Everything is kind of localized in one place and it's pretty much ready to go. Now, you may have some youth leaders that have an art background and some that don't. And you may have some youth leaders that are like, I'm a bad artist, I'm not good at art. But we believe that actually we can design something in a way where like you actually don't need that background. We provide the supports through instructional videos, through exemplars, right? So that even someone who doesn't have an arts background can feel successful in implementing. So let me backtrack once to the blue circle. High quality arts curriculum designed with youth leaders in mind leads to a thoughtful youth leader training with plug and play resources. And then the result of that, this is our theory of action, is that we have engaged, joyful, purposeful, academic, and SEL learning. And so that goes back to the Wallace Foundation finding, right? That when a program is high quality and intentionally designed, that influences the outcomes, right? So we're saying we want to create something that's high quality, intentionally and thoughtfully designed with a training that then yields the engaged, joyful, purposeful academic and SEL learning. So that's our theory of action. And I want to tell you what we ended up creating. Caveat, and this meeting is being recorded, so you can quote me on this, that this is like we're talking to you today about what we ended up creating, but this is not the learning is not what is this curriculum. The learning is what can I take away from what the Chavez Foundation did to then figure out in my existing programs where I can beef up support for youth leaders, and or how I can vet and evaluate new programs that I want to bring to my site to see if they like basically they shape up to the support that might be necessary, right? But we're going to do that through exploring what we ended up creating. So we ended up creating this beautiful curriculum called Art is Power, and I love it because art is power, right? Think of a time when art has had an impact on you, right? So Art is Power, and it's a K-5 academic arts enrichment curriculum. And so I'll talk a little bit about that thoughtful design, the high quality, thoughtful, intentional design, right? Which is again supposed to yield the outcomes of engaged academic and SEL learning. And so it's called Art is Power. And I'll start by sharing, hopefully my screen. Okay, sorry, let me go back. Okay, can you see my screen? It's should be, okay, great. So I want to show you two examples of student art that has resulted from the Art is Power program. So I'll start with in the right, the students are making a portrait using watercolors and oil pastels. The special thing about this, because it looks like an ordinary portrait, you might like, oh, it's like, kids make portraits all the time. But the specific task here is that students have to make a portrait of someone in their community that they want to honor, because they learn about portraits and how portraits historically, in the times of kings and queens, right? Times of kings and queens, only kings and queens got their portraits painted, right? The common folk didn't get portraits. Now, things are a little bit different, but they get to pick someone in their community to honor. And so every time I share this, I get a little bit chills. I don't know if you pass that on to you, but this student chose their youth leader. So this is their youth leader. And to me, the power of that is like, we never know, right? Which students are gonna need that special attention from a youth leader, from an after school program or a out of school time summer program, right? But it has an impact on them. And so this person could choose anybody, right? But they chose their after school year. I think that's beautiful. And then the other one that resulted from this program is the students were like, you know what, we're gonna make a mural. And so we partnered with Pasadena Youth Learns. And this is a mural that the students at Pasadena created together. And this wasn't even part of the curriculum. They did this they were inspired by the curriculum to do this, right? And so this idea of Art is Power just kind of wanted to demonstrate a little bit about what that was. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the outcomes, right? So when it's a high quality program, these are the kind of outcomes that can result, right? Just so you know a little bit about the structure, I'm gonna go by pretty quickly through these because again, the goal is not for you to learn about this particular program, but to learn about the supports. And so one of the ways that we supported youth leaders is that we chunked each part of the activity so that they're kind of these manageable chunks, right? So there's this community building chunk, art learning chunk where they read about, they might read like a little slide on an artist. We give them time to prepare, time to actually work on the art, and then reflection and cleanup. So that it's chunked so that it's easy for a youth facilitator to follow, and it's repetitive. So every time they do this program, it's going to follow this structure. So that helps with remembering the routine of it. In terms of what students learn, they are inspired. They learn how art can inspire people to make social change. They learn that anyone can be an artist, and they learn some art techniques. They practice a little bit of skills, academic skills. It's an enrichment curriculum first, but there is a little bit of reading. They read like a little artist biography, or there's like a read aloud link to a book about the artist. There's a little bit of writing when they get to observe a piece of art. And again, they learn about art techniques. And the most important one for me is this idea of growth mindset. Like you're gonna get some students who at the beginning are like, I'm not an artist, I can't draw, I'm not good at this. But this idea that through just trying multiple attempts, you can actually get better at something. And then the best part for students is that they get to make art. That's a little bit more about artist power. Here are some of the featured artists that they learn about. Tyler Gordon, who's a very young artist, who's mainly a portrait artist. And then some more kind of historically famous artists like Keith Haring and Frida Kahlo, Faith Ringgold, and then Zarco Guerrero, who makes masks. And one of the projects is the kids make a mask. So we, again, thoughtfully selected who are the artists that we're gonna select. And we also, to be transparent, we're thinking about how can our students feel represented by these artists, right? So that when they're seeing artists, they're not seeing just the ones that are typically included in the history books, right? But also artists like Tyler Gordon, who's more contemporary. You're probably not going to find him in a history book, but he's young, right? And he's a person of color, right? And so I think that's an intentional part of the design, that students see themselves reflected. And then these are some of the projects that they make. Again, that's the community portrait. They make a print using styrofoam. They make this, so Victor, you mentioned Dali, right? They make a surrealist scene. And actually this is really cool. I don't know if you can see that it looks like a little hand, a green hand, but it's actually a splash of paint. So the students splashed the paint and then created a creature from it. So they created the hand. You can see the bird also used to be a splash, and they created it. So this idea of creating something kind of magical, right? And then one of the coolest projects is that they actually get to make some fabric. They use yarn and they follow a pattern to make some fabric, right? So these are some of the projects that are included in the program. Okay, so we're gonna check our understanding. This is just like a quick, based on what you saw. Based on what you have seen so far, how is Artist Power designed to support youth leaders in delivering high quality learning experiences? We're just getting started, so it's okay if you need more time to think about it. But if you're ready, go ahead and share in the chat. Based on what you have seen so far, how is Artist Power designed to support youth leaders in delivering a high quality learning experience? So we'll take a few responses here. Thank you, welcome Summer has just joined us. Right, Sherry Lynn has talked about chunking, right? Chunking and repetition, right? That makes it easy for a youth facilitator to remember. Organization and intent, yes. Time can definitely bend in out of school time. If you're not driving, Sherry Lynn, can you share a little bit more about what you mean by that?
I just meant, I was just following up to when I said that the chunking was important, because you have a certain time that youth are with you, but things can happen. Like, so yesterday in my town, I told you there was a storm, and one of the buses couldn't go to one of the neighborhoods. And so in our after school space, all the kids that ride the white bus had to come over to the cafeteria. So, you know, the little regularly scheduled, we have little like enrichment groups that happen, 2 30-minute enrichment groups that happen, one at 2:55, one at 3:25. That 2:55 group was all discombobulated because of the, extra 100 kids or whatever.
Mhm.
So chunking means somebody planning on leading that lesson could pick the amount of time that they have that day, even if it's unexpectedly short. That's what I meant.
Totally. Exactly. Yeah. And we get it, right? We designed it actually that in that way so that if you have a longer block of time, there's parts you can stretch. If you have a shorter block of time, there's things you can kind of either condense or skip over or prioritize for a later time, right? And you'll get to see that a little bit more when we look at the resources. But thank you for those who have shared so far. And if you're still thinking on it, when we get to the resources, you're going to see it a little bit more, because I didn't want the focus of my overview to be on the actual curriculum, right? Remember, the focus is what can I learn about how to support youth leaders? I'm going to keep preaching on that. Okay, so we're going to go into resource exploration time. So Julie, I will need your help with this. It looks like we have a total of how many participants?
We have 18 guests here
Great.
right now.
Okay, and then 18 guests. So then we can probably we'll probably need 5 breakout rooms, and they could be randomly assigned. And I'll let you know when. But we'll do 5 breakout groups. Ideally, if you're able to turn on your camera at that time, that'd be great, so that you're connecting with each other. And you're gonna have some time to do the following, okay? So in a small group, you are gonna be assigned a group number. So if you're in breakout room number 1, you're group number 1, okay? And in your group, you're gonna need a note taker, you're gonna need a spokesperson, and a timekeeper. And this is because you're going to be doing looking at some resources together, and you're going to be then reporting out what you're taking away from it. Okay. The timekeeper is just so that you are, aware of the time you're spending. And what you're going to do is that you're going to review the resources linked on slide 1, because I'm going to give you access to this. Let me exit so I can show you. I'm going to give you access to this slide deck. And this first slide has the exact directions that I was going over right now. But let's say I'm in group 1, I'm going to have this slide deck, and you can edit this presentation. And what you're going to see is 3 resources: a curriculum map, a sample lesson, and a writing printout. There's a little description about each of these. And then there's 2 questions. And this is where the note taker, as you listen to your group discuss, I want you to capture your thinking here. How is this resource designed to help youth leaders deliver a high quality learning experience? And then just generally, if you're feeling stuck with this first question, what resource stood out to you and why out of these 3? You can share this, you'll be sharing this out when we come back as a whole group, okay? So let me first get you this link. I'll put that in the chat for you so that we all have access to it. I just saw your note, Lorena, about culturally relevant. Yes. So that was an intentional part of the design too. Thank you for calling that out. So I just shared this with you, so you should all have access to it. You will know your group number once Julie puts you in a breakout room. And I will be traveling from group to group, just kind of checking on if you need me. But again, your responsibility is, now that you have this, you're gonna click on the resource, open it, view it, talk to each other about it, and then you can capture your notes here in your assigned group, okay? Let me just check a time so we can, so let's do 10, let's do 10 minutes. I'll set a timer, and then Julie, if you could open those 5 breakout rooms and just don't include me or you in those. Thank you. So I'm setting my timer up. We'll come back at 11:11, and I'll give you a 1-minute warning. I'm deeply sorry if I cut you off in the middle of like a really important thought that you wanted to share. But know that we'll have a little bit of time to talk with each other, and so you can share those out. And again, I want to highlight as folks get back, the purpose of the time is for you to see what we did. How did we approach supporting youth leaders in this arts curriculum? And then for you to be able to say, okay, I have this art program that one of my youth leaders is running. What guidance can I give them to make it a little bit better? Or I'm gonna buy a new product, a new curriculum. How can I check that it has some of these items so that they're set up for success, right? So let's debrief. I'm going to try to get at least one person from each group, which might be a little bit hard, but we'll try our best. So starting with group 1, can your spokesperson just tell us a little bit about either this first question, how is this resource designed to help youth leaders deliver a high quality learning experience, or what research stood out to you and why? So your spokesperson from group 1.
That would be me. Melissa, I'm the spokesperson for group 1, and I just want to call out the members. We've got Elva, Galilea, and I believe Jenna, whose microphone wasn't working, but she was still able to keep us on time. So
Great.
I hope I didn't leave anybody out. So as far as your question, everything in this curriculum seemed very hands-on, culturally relevant. We love the way that every detail for the lesson is there, and even the materials are easily accessible, right? So you want me to go through the whole thing?
No, that's okay. And
Okay.
Just if anybody else in the group wants to share something, they can.
I can share something.
Yeah.
So I would say for the first part, like how she was saying, it's very hands-on. And I did just like how the descriptions are describing, where like the first part is mainly for the teacher, that's like their resources for them. And I really love the second part where it was like the Google Slides for the students. And one of my partners in our group, I forgot who it was, I'm sorry, did point out that some of the slides were cut off. Like the students were able to see it, but the person that created the slides were, which I really thought was cool. But I really love how detailed the slides were of going through each step with the students, even like time management, telling them what part they're on. And it's really like, I really love that part. It just like kind of, it lets the student know what to expect, and just kind of like, just the visual learners as well, is like helping them just visually see what's happening instead of just telling them, but showing them.
And I wanted to show you an example of what I mean by, you don't have to use this curriculum, right? This high quality curriculum, but something like this where we are here slide. You could totally take this. Like, this is not like a secret, right? Like, you could have your youth facilitators add a slide like this, or have a visual on the board that kind of helps the group understand what are the different steps of today. But honestly, when we designed this because we were anticipating distractions. Let's say there's like a fire drill in the middle. I mean, I'm just making this up, right? Fire drill, but it's like, wait, where were we in the lesson? Oh yeah, we're in the community builder, right? So it's meant to help with that clarity. Let's go to group 2 now. And you can just share any thoughts that you had. Any thoughts that you had about the question, your spokesperson.
Sorry, I think that was us, but we actually used the group 1 section.
Oh, okay, that's fine. You can just share your thoughts.
We talked about how the curriculum map shares a lot of visuals, and it's like very clear. Staff could just take this and just really start from the top and work their way down. They can open this up and print out their modules that they need for their day, which is great. You don't actually have to like print it out for them. They could just like open this up themselves. And then once you actually get into the modules, like you have like the step-by-step written instructions, but then you also have like the pictures to go along with it. Which, we talked about how we try to make things available to our students that learn like differently, and we also have to get in that mindset that we have staff that learn differently. So this is great.
Love that, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is, as an example, here in the curriculum act where we have the materials, what I wanted to achieve in creating this was that a youth facilitator or youth leader doesn't have to think twice about it. It's like, oh yeah, paper, pencils, color pencils. Like I can see what I need, and then I can see, do I have it or do I need to get it, right? And so making that immediate. Really appreciate sharing that. Okay, let's go to group number 3 now.
That was Araceli and me, Nora. We did notice through the whole PowerPoint, it's very easy to read, visual, color-coded. It shows you exactly what you want the students to do. Like there's an image where there's the paper and the pencil on top of the paper. It's something so small, but with students and they get distracted so easily, like that one. I feel like that it's gonna stay in the back of their head and they're gonna put it exactly like that without anybody having to say anything.
Yeah.
So it's very visual, very good.
Thank you. This is a visual component. Great. What about group 4?
Group 4, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just going over the curriculum map. We felt that it helped by letting people know where they were going. It provided good visuals. Hold on one second. It was very well organized. It made people, whoever was leading it, more confident to lead. We both really liked the stages. We're kind of chatting about how sometimes, when we're learning, we're more visual. So it helps to see, like this is what stage 1's going to look like. This is what stage 2 is going to look like, and then the final product. And then as far as the sample lesson plan and everything, we really liked how they broke everything down into the chunks again. We really like the strategies like the attention getters, the turn and talk, and the circulate around the room. It's very clear and easy to lead. The strategies help facilitate the actual teaching of the lesson plan. And we're talking about how some people, they might be new to facilitating a lesson and everything. So that helps out a lot.
Yeah.
And then we love the vocabulary and the writing printout and everything. It's very plug and play and encourage critical thinking.
That's what I love to hear. Plug and play. That's how we had designed it in mind. Again, ideally, youth facilitators are taking a little bit of time to prepare, but even if, let's say, they had an emergency and they like show up a few minutes late and they just have to go and do the activity, we believe that what we've created will help them do that successfully, like at a high level, right? And that's why we pay attention to those little details. And group 5, I have one more thing to share about that, but let me go to group 5 first, and then we'll wrap up. Your spokesperson, group 5.
Hi, everyone. I think that's group us, this group 5, Alicia and Francisco, myself. Sorry,
It's okay.
but it's pretty much what everybody said. It's a very friendly curriculum that has a lot of great resources. But not only that, it's scaffolded to meet the needs of our after school staff, the way I see it. It's like you said, you can walk out, but you can come back and know where you were. The other thing that we really liked is seeing that there's videos embedded and step by step of what you need to do, especially when you're limited in time. With our after school staff, that some of them, are coming in 30 minutes before school starts. So that really helps before after school program starts.
Thank you, Lorna. Yeah, this video, for example, I'm gonna play it. There won't be any sound because I'm not sharing my sound. But again, you don't have to know how to make a portrait to lead this, because if you play the video, watch. Anyway, you get the idea, right? That you play the video, and we have lots of these videos embedded. The last thing I wanted to add was that imagine that you tell a youth leader, okay, you're gonna do a portrait with your students, and you hadn't shown them anything. They could go many different places with that. But the stages makes it super clear, like this is a progression of the project, right? So just wanted to show you, and again, these are things that what I'm trying to show you is that you can take some of these ideas, right? Where like if the students are working on a project, what are the different steps of the project? How can we make that visual? How can we make the materials visual so that it's easy to know what they're gonna need? How can we break things down in chunks, right? So all these things are things that you can take away from this curriculum so that it could be applied to your existing programs, or you can vet new programs. Okay, so that was wonderful. You're all amazing. Let me just wrap us up with a few other things. So we already did our group reflection, and I want to just stamp this big idea that we believe that when a curriculum is high quality and intentionally designed with plug and play resources, which Victor talked about, which a whole bunch of you talked about, right? That's what leads to the engaged, joyful, purposeful academic and SEL learning, right? That students are getting inspired by the program. And so this is kind of like your mental homework. You don't have to actually do anything like, you don't have to get back to me or anything about it, but think about your existing programs or programs that you might want to bring and ask yourself, do I think this is high quality? Was this designed with youth leaders in mind? Do I feel that the training that accompanies this is thoughtful? Are the resources for this program plug and play? And then that's what's going to lead to this, right? The engaged students. So there's two more things to do really quickly. So one is taking a quick survey for me, so I know how this session went. And just FYI, I am doing this session again in person on Saturday in Sacramento. So you do not have to come twice to that because you've been here already. But if you have friends who you think could benefit from this session, please do let them know. And that way we have, more people can learn about this. So I think this is an important topic. And so if you use your phone to scan the QR code, or you can use the link, the bit.ly link, Artist Power Can 25. You can take a quick survey, and then don't leave, because there's also, I'm gonna give you another QR to enter yourself into our raffle. And I'll tell you a little bit about what that entails. So I'll give you a few, maybe like 1 quick minute to do the survey. It should take you like 2 minutes.
Victor, I have a quick question. Will you be giving access to your slide deck?
Yes, we will upload it to a folder, a CAN folder, and then you will have access to the slide deck.
Thank you.
Can you put the link in the chat? I'm not able to scan the QR code right now, and I can't click on your presentation.
Yeah, I totally forgot that I could do that. So let me do that right now.
Thank you so much. I also had a question, but if it's not time for questions, I'm happy to wait.
No, we could do a quick question, sure.
I appreciated that you were very clear to say that, your program that you guys at Cesar Chavez developed is one program, but we could use these same principles evaluating other programs. But
Mhm.
it begs the question, like, is there a way for school districts to use this curriculum, purchase or use?
Oh, yeah, so I'm typing the link in the chat right now. Yes, in fact, in the survey, you'll see a question that says, do you want to learn more about Artist Power? And then at that point, then we would contact you. I wanted just to be honest and transparent, which is what I would hope to be, is I did not want this to feel like you should bring this to your school, right? Even though I think this is a great program, and I invested a lot of my own professional time creating it and bringing it right to life. But yes, you can learn more about how to bring it to your site or your district. We would love it because we think this is an important topic for kids to learn that art is what moves the world, right? And for them to practice making art, right? And so we think it's really important, it has an important value. So in the survey, you can indicate your interest, and then we would contact you about, next steps for that. Okay, so I think we're finishing up the survey. I want to tell you a little bit about this raffle, and then I'll stay on for any questions that folks might have. So we are hosting, the Chavez Foundation is hosting a reception on the 7th for those of you if you are going or if you have friends who are going to Sacramento. So here is another QR code, and this is to enter yourself into a raffle. And again, this is for registered attendees. And so you can enter yourself to win, and I believe there are various prizes like I think one of them might be like a discount on bringing one of our programs to your district, for example. And so, yes, this is another important QR to keep in mind. And I'll wrap us up with maybe I'll stay on this slide just in case.
I was gonna say, I didn't get it yet.
Yeah, so I'll stay on this slide in case people need it. It should load in a second, sorry. And then I will stay on for any questions. But other than that, we are at time. We magically finished at 11:30. And so I'll stay on if you have any questions. But other than that, I want to say thank you for your participation. I hope you learned something and took away something today. And please do share about our session with anyone who might be attending on Saturday. We would love to have a full house. Thank you, everybody. Take care. I'll stay on if you have questions, but you can jump off if you're ready to go.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you and learning from you. And for what it's worth, when I was trying to decide which session to go to this morning, I figured the Cesar Chavez Foundation would have a high quality